Yeah, thank you very much, Mrs. Sum, for the kind introduction. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege to join you here from Munich and be part of this esteemed gathering. From Interpol's perspective, the past 2 years have been very challenging for law enforcement across the globe. COVID-19 has brought about many sharp disruptions to our operational landscape as it swept across our societies. Cybercrime, of course, is no exception. Our 2020 cybercrime analysis report had evidenced how global criminal trends further accelerated. Attacks are tailored. They are focused, aiming for maximum impact and maximum profit. We have seen how ransomware was used over the course of the pandemic against governments and health institutions as part of a highly lucrative business model. Business email compromise is another example that has heavily impacted our societies, with total identified losses going beyond 13 billion US dollar, according to some sources, and resulting in fraudulent transfers across 140 countries. The threat is constant, far-reaching, and by definition, borderless. No part of the world stands above the risks of cybercrime, yet some are particularly more vulnerable than others. Our 2021 Interpol Cyber Threat Assessment for the African region, for instance, saw unique challenges across the continent, with a critical absence of cyber resilience as well as mitigation and preventive measures, while digitalization progresses at full speed. How can we, as law enforcement, bring cybercriminals to justice when it is so easy for them to channel their attack vectors across multiple jurisdictions? And what insights can we provide to help all of us be more prepared? Fundamentally, our adversary operates across borders without restrictions. Those tasked with combating the threat, police, governments, and private sector, must embrace the same global approach. This is our vision, and it is underpinned by three key concepts: trust, perspective, and common rules. Commencing with trust. Trust in tools, trust in channels we are using, and of course, trust among partners, the very foundation on which cooperation is built. An effective global response to cybercrime means that all police all over the world can gain access to the intelligence and evidence they need to detect and investigate crime. And we know investigation into cybercrime can take investigators to all corners of the globe in following the chain of evidence. Obviously, this data cannot be disclosed without absolute confidence it is going in the right hands to the right people. This can be difficult for smaller police forces around the world. This is why Interpol is pursuing initiatives to be the trusted partner to connect police and the private sector through our Whois initiative to facilitate law enforcement access to domain name registration information from the Whois database, and through further work on assisting police around the world to build trusted digital identities. We also need to have the trust and confidence to work closely with experts in the private sector. This is the basis of Interpol's Gateway initiative, which works with 13 global partners to exchange, analyze, and share threat data with our membership. We must work at the global level. The threat is not only transnational, it is also cross-regional. And when this collaboration takes place, we are able to bring criminals to justice. Take Interpol's recent Operation Cyclone, conducted at the end of last year. 30 months of transcontinental investigation into attacks against companies in the Republic of Korea and academic institutions in the United States led to the arrest of 6 members of a well-known ransomware family in the Ukraine. Private sector partners provided information and dark web data analysis throughout the operation. We want to replicate these results across continents. This is why Interpol is structuring its operations around regional task forces, such as our very successful ASEAN Cybercrime Operational Desk in our Global Complex for Innovation in Singapore. With the support of the Foreign Office of the United Kingdom, Interpol has been building on this model to establish the Africa Cybercrime Operation Desk. It is with that same support that Interpol's Operation Falcon II recently led to the arrest of 11 alleged members of a prolific cybercrime network in Nigeria. Going forward, global security will call for more such activities, and we can get there by increasing our data and information flows and widening participation of the global law enforcement community. This takes us to the second pillar, perspective. Today's discussion rightly focuses on the challenges we will be facing into the future, but we need to be mindful that there is a large proportion of a global population who will not have access to that future just yet. As a result, while those at the cutting edge of technology will embrace new technologies and discard old ones, many communities and their law enforcement organizations will not have this opportunity. We need to remember that IT infrastructure needs regular, ongoing protection in terms of software updates, patches, and other maintenance to keep it protected from cyber threats. As we move forward, there will be a greater number of users relying on servers, web browsers, and applications that no longer receive support from technology providers. Cybercriminals will take advantage of this global gap, expanding their reach and their networks. This is an ongoing challenge for all of us wanting to ensure global cybersecurity, making sure we are mindful of best security practices when we offer technical assistance. However, even the most effective operational capabilities will be limited if we do not focus on the third pillar, the need for common rules. Interpol brings together our 195 member countries, each with their own rules and legislation against cybercrime or any other type of crime, under a single common framework for the processing of data. These clear, robust, and collective rules offer a common ground that ensures the efficiency and quality of international cooperation between criminal police authorities through our Interpol channels. However, this is only one part of the criminal investigative and judiciary process. Law enforcement can only act if there is appropriate legislation, and here again, the situation varies vastly from country to country. The pace at which the cybercriminal landscape is evolving can make it even more difficult for legislation to keep up. The resulting legislative gaps pose challenges for law enforcement agencies and prosecutors, specifically for cross-border enforcement. This is a complex situation, and it is compounded by the lack of global treaty, law, or legislation to address cybercrime that we face today. However, we take note of the launch by the United Nations General Assembly of discussions over an international convention that could address some of the gaps that exist today. We feel it is essential to have strong law enforcement cooperation provisions as part of the framework to translate our collective will against global crime into tangible results. This is Interpol's raison d'être. Ladies and gentlemen, cyber criminals and law enforcement are not fighting on equal terms. That is much clear. Just as the crime is borderless, so we must be prepared, and so must be our response. This is where the cooperation framework made available by Interpol fits in the global security architecture. Maintaining secured communication channels and cooperative networks, offering a central repository for criminal data from 195 member countries and partners, acting as gateway between law enforcement and the private sector, and serving as a deconfliction hub for ongoing law enforcement investigations and operations. This must be our shared objective, public and private sector alike, working across our respective boundaries to push the exchange of actionable information on cybercrime so that threats are identified as soon as possible. Awareness is raised about them before they spread globally, and mitigating actions is taken. I look forward to discussing with you how we can achieve those objectives together. Thank you very much.